You are watching or listening to Purham and Associates. For more information, go to rpurham.com or follow me on all social media platforms and subscribe at RPURHAM. Thanks. See you over there. Hey, good day to you all. Welcome to Purham and Associates. I'm your host, Randy Purham. And of course, you see I'm wearing red because today is Friday and it's Red Friday. Remember, everyone deployed Friday. And this is the time that we take to thank our men and women who are serving our nation around the world, sacrificing and committing their time and their freedom and protecting our freedom, our Constitution, our way of life. We thank you and we salute you. We wish you a safe journey back home to your friends, family, and loved ones, wherever that may be. Folks, we got a very special guest with us today, and he's a returning guest, actually. So a lot of y'all know who he is, and a lot of you probably listen to him. And he is none other than John Gordon. And he is the host of the syndicated radio show, The Truth with John Gordon. And he is a graduate of the Mercer University Law School in Georgia. He is a business owner and entrepreneur who has also worked as a journalist and reporter in Macon and Atlanta. He ran as a Republican candidate to be Georgia's Attorney General in 2022 and was endorsed by President Donald J. Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the summit, presenting the others, Mr. John Gordon. Good morning, sir.
Well, thank you so much for that generous and kind introduction. It's so nice to be back with you this morning.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for being here. So, John, tell us, what have you been up to the last couple months?
You don't want to know.
I know it's a loaded question, right?
Well, besides the radio show, which we spend an inordinate amount of time on, for a 2-hour show, we probably invest 20 to 30 hours of preparation every week. Part of it is just because I enjoy keeping my head in the game, and I like to keep on top of what's going on in our country and around the world. So from that standpoint, I really enjoy it. It's a labor of love. But outside of that, I got to make a living. And so I have 2 operating businesses of real estate, small real estate development I'm working on, as well as finishing a 5-year project and building a new home. And I even like to play tennis about once a day or once every other day to keep my head straight.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I tried to play tennis in high school, for, PE class, gym class. They try, you get those little, you got to try these different sports throughout the year type of thing. And tennis was just not my thing. I could never keep the ball on the court, like nowhere on.
Well, it's a fun game, but it does take a lot of work to learn how to play it. And I'm in that stage right now.
Okay, good.
But I loved your opening today because it's a great lead into Veterans Day that is just around the corner, November the 10th. And we just had a guest on our show, Michael Pack, who has produced a documentary on the Iraq War and the aftermath and the impact that it's had on our veterans. And so you caught me in a very patriotic moment right now because we talked about all the hardships that have been occasioned on these veterans. Mm-hmm. And it does not make it any easier that they were fighting a war under false pretenses. We were all just lied to. Yeah. George Bush, Dick Cheney, Colin Powell, they told us that we were going in to find and extinguish weapons of mass destruction. Mm-hmm. And guess what? There were none. But we destabilized Iraq. We got rid of Saddam Hussein. His own people later hanged him. And a lot of young men and women did not come home that we sent over there to fight this. I don't know. I hate to call it an illegitimate war because we were fighting terrorism and terrorist and the sponsorship of terrorism. And so from that standpoint, I think it was legit. But otherwise, I think it was an ill-conceived.
Of it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's funny that you mentioned that because I just literally had this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday about the Iraq War, because I was in Iraq in 2003. 2000.
I did not know that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I was there three tours. I did 3 tours in Iraq. So 2003, 2008, and 2011 through 12. And so going in 2003, being CBRN, chemical operations, so we were, part of the weapons of mass destruction searched. And the unit I was with, although we was cavalry, but my job as an NBC NCO at that time, what it was called, going out with those guys and checking to make sure that nobody was dead from chemical agents and stuff like that. It became like, okay, there's nothing going on here. And the complacency sat in, and then that's when we started getting that was the birth of the IED, about a half a year later. And so we had to kind of like change our mindset on going from looking for weapons of mass destruction, looking for, mass casualties of some kind of chemical warfare, to now defending against, homegrown terrorists that were just trying to kill us because they didn't want us in their country. So it was an interesting time, and it was.
Were the people that planted those IUDs, were they soldiers or were they terrorists, or combinations of both?
Combination. There was a combination of them. So the what was called back then the Iraqi Republican Guard. A lot of them were soldiers. Well, they were all soldiers. But during the war, a lot of them defected or just scattered and went on about their business away from the battlefield. A lot of them just came out the uniform and became essentially terrorists and recruited other people in their communities to say, hey, we got to get these infidels, that's what we were called, the infidels, out of our country. And so that's kind of like how the birthing of the terrorist operations of Iraq came about. So it was an interesting time to say the least, but there were a couple of instances where we did come across mass graves from the 90s of chemical usage. We did find drums of sarin, and they were like negligent levels, but we did find a couple of those, but nothing to the scale of what we were going in looking for, like a nuclear bomb type of thing. So yeah, like I said, it was an interesting time. And then going back later in 08 and 11, that was more clearing out terrorists. So and doing logistics and shutting down bases and stuff like that, and helping the new Iraqi government become a little bit more stabilized, a little bit more have an ability to handle their own operations there. And so that was kind of like the transition period, and thank God that was over with in 2012. So but there's
so where does the nation's where are we today vis-a-vis Iraq? You don't hear anything about them, really, do you?
I was just going to say there's still a contingent of soldiers in Iraq, in Baghdad, because they set up a little small embassy in Baghdad. So there's a contingent of soldiers there. They're more, I guess you would say, their operations is more geared towards response to any kind of Middle Eastern conflict type of deal. So Syria has been like more so the focus back the last few years, but other than that, you're right. You don't hear anything about them. It's pretty quiet over there now. So it's roughly right. I think last I heard it was like around 200 soldiers there in Iraq, but they mostly stay stationed out of Kuwait. So yeah, that's what things are at. And can't believe it's been almost it's actually been 20 years since my first deployment to Iraq. Good.
Well, we legitimately and sincerely appreciate your service, and
thank you.
We also are grateful for your patriotism that you reflect on your show every week, and it's just an honor to be with you.
Absolutely, and thank you as well. And I looking back, we had the FBI, we had CIA, we had a company that was called the Iraqi Survey Group, which comprised of mostly intelligence agency officials and what have you. And they kind of took the helm on looking for weapons of mass destruction and looking for terrorists. And they created what's called HVI, HVTs, high value target lists of people that they wanted for certain things. And so it was a crazy time. It's the talk of weapons of mass destruction. You saw it just kind of like just fade out of the media narrative over time. It was like, yeah, there's no weapons of mass destruction. We're here for something else, and I think it was the oil, to be honest.
So what were we there for? What is your thought?
I would say it was for the oil. I would say it's for the oil.
Mm.
Yeah.
But that's just greed. That's their oil. We don't have any right to their oil.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've got plenty of oil in our country. And Joe Biden wouldn't let us drill if it was on federal land. Yeah, well, absolutely. That would be our oil. Why would we go take somebody else's oil that we have no right to when we've got plenty of oil right underneath our feet?
I agree. And it was I think they saw it as a way of preserving our resources by taking somebody else's. At the time, I don't know. It was interesting when we so some of the units got detached from the battlefield per se, and they had to go protect oil fields and stuff like that. It was like, huh? Why are y'all doing that? So we should be burning that down, But they were like, no, we got to protect it for some reason. So next thing you know, you start seeing barges coming in, and they was filling up the barges and running it out to the ocean, and the Navy was escorting them out and stuff. So it was like, huh? This is what we're here for, the oil. Okay, got it. So gas prices went down, a couple years later to like $2 a gallon, in Maryland and stuff like that. So. Yeah, it was an interesting time nonetheless. But I wanted to get your thoughts on the FBI and what do you think? How do you think they're doing right now? Do you think they are instilling trust back into the American people again, or it's about the same?
I can't speak on behalf of the American people. I can only tell you where I'm sitting. And they have not restored my trust. And in fact, they have eroded my trust. Mm. And we had our expectations set very high by Kash Patel. We've had them set very high for the last 4 years by Kash Patel. And he promised us transparency and truthfulness. And I don't think that we've gotten it. We want to know what is in the Epstein files. We want to know who took a shot at President Trump in Butler. Mm-hmm. We want to know who was sponsoring the kid that killed Charlie Kirk. If you believe, what was his name? Reynolds?
No.
Robinson. Ryan Robinson? Tyler Robinson. Tyler there you go. Yep. I mean, do you think that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie?
I kind of I've been seeing some different theories on that, and I'm like, there's a possibility, but do I think he did it? Yes. Was it a solo mission? Absolutely not. So that's kind of like where I'm at with that. He definitely had some, I would say, some logistical support. It may not have been like multiple people on the ground type of thing, but he definitely had logistical support, and I would say. Not definitely a lone wolf type of thing. He had some help.
Yes.
To do that, and I do believe that, and I do believe he's the one that did it. So,
well, that's where you and I diverge. No disrespect intended.
No.
But I watched two former Navy SEAL expert marksmen that were actually on the Redacted podcast. Mm-hmm. And both of them independently said that from 200 yards, with all of the people around, all the law enforcement around, all of the pressure that the shooter would have been inherently under, that they could not have made that shot from 200 yards, particularly with the precision that we are we can see that whoever shot him had. And so Dr. Chris Martin, I don't think I've got his name right. He also is a podcaster and kind of a forensic scientist. And he has studied the geometry of where we're told Tyler Robinson was, mm-hmm. and the shot. And he concluded that Tyler Robinson could not have made that shot with the entry point of the bullet. And they say the body stopped the bullet. It did not. There is no exit wound. Right. Well, then you combine that with people who have who study this stuff, who actually have human-like torsos and heads that they experiment with, and they're the equivalent composition, size, and so forth of a human, and they put them at long distances, and when a 30-06 hits the target, the whole target explodes. The force is so traumatic that the entire body and head are just emasculated. Mm-hmm. That's not what happened here.
True.
It appears to be a strategically, surgically delivered weapon that did not do massive destruction to Charlie, but certainly penetrated his body, and then based on the trajectory, severed his spine and then went into vital organs. The only silver lining is that we don't think that Charlie suffered or experienced pain. He was immediately dead immediately.
Yeah.
And the other perplexing thing is that, the heart continues to beat, and there's no real massive amounts of blood, and it's really hard to account for that.
I agree.
Tyler Robinson, we're told, got up on that roof. He had more wardrobe changes than a Broadway play, and that doesn't add up. We don't see how he got the rifle up on the roof. They've only showed us the portion of, and they've got the whole video. They've got the video from the time that the shooter went up on the roof, the alleged shooter, the purported shooter, until the time that he took his assassin's position, to the time that the shot was fired, to the time that he left the roof. And I have watched many videos that believe that video has in fact been doctored. The principal evidence for that is that you see the alleged shooter running across the roof, and the roof is one material, and then the roof changes color, and it actually changes white. As soon as he steps off the colored roof to the white roof, the shadow disappears. That you can't explain that. The shadow would be more prominent on the white portion of the roof.
Yeah. That's true.
Then we show him getting down. We don't see the rifle. We see a knapsack, but the knapsack doesn't appear to be big enough to have held the rifle. So then we were told, he broke it down. What did he break it down with? A screwdriver? No, that didn't happen. And then he reassembled it in the woods and laid it pristine on a blanket. It just does not pass the smell test.
I agree.
Then, at last point, you combine that with the social media post made a day before the assassination. There was what they call chatter. And the chatter was, watch Charlie Kirk tomorrow. You'll know it when you see it. Something big is going to happen. So, and there were not just that one post, there were other people saying something big's going down at Turning Point tomorrow. And it just, Randy, I'll tell you, it just pisses me off. It discourages me. It frustrates me. It disappoints me that these people, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who promised us truth and transparency, are not delivering it. So you think I'm not happy? No, I'm not happy. But I don't blame them directly. I think there are major league forces that they have to contend with. Do you know that Dan Bongino, that they recruited 50 FBI agents, and it took a lot of interviews to find the 50 that would protect him at his own desk at the FBI?
I noticed he's been.
That tells you a lot. And Kash Patel demanded a personal direct line to the White House, to President Trump's office. He demanded his own hotline so he could communicate with the president on a secure line, unfiltered, and directly to the president. That to me is all a reflection that this federal government is rotten to its core.
Yeah,
I think there are bad actors inside our own federal government, including agents for China, including Mossad, including left liberal lunatics, including the CIA, that supposedly have people planted in every single federal department, and including every major media outlet in the country. I'm telling you, this government is run amok.
You're absolutely right. It's spot on.
It's not good.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
It's not good.
It's not good, and you're absolutely spot on with that analysis there. I haven't got into the weeds of the whole Charlie Kirk thing, and what you laid out is the same. Some of the same things that I've seen, or I heard rather, and I kind of just said, "Huh, that's a good point." And I started seeing some little clips here and there, and it's just like, that is almost akin to the the JFK files, and what happened with JFK. It runs akin to that. So I told a colleague of mine around that time when it happened, it was like last month. I said, I'm gonna wait a few years and let the dust settle, because when it reemerges, then the truth will be out at that point of what really happened. We just gotta let time run its course. But Candace Owens, she's been a little bit on berserk mode lately, because now she's like, President Trump killed Charlie Kirk, and I can prove it. And it's like everybody's like, whoa, like, are you crazy?
Yeah, say that again. I didn't understand you. She said what? President Trump?
Yeah, Candace Owens is accusing President Trump of killing Charlie Kirk, or having him killed, and everybody's now.
I did not know that.
That just came out like yesterday or day before yesterday. That just came out, and so it's like, whoa, like, have you gone crazy? Like, that's what people are saying to her. Like, how are you accusing the president of the United States of killing Charlie Kirk? And it's just like, I can prove it, and so I mean, she said a lot of things. Yes, she has.
That she can prove, and I'm still waiting on the proof. Having said that, I do admire her courage. I admire her spunk. I've watched most of her videos lately. I'll tell you something that's really perplexing to me. Mm-hmm. I'm subscribed to her channel. I watch it a lot, and it has disappeared from my feed. I had a guy in West Palm Beach say, "You have your own podcast?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, it just showed up in my feed yesterday." I was so excited, because I don't hear that very often, right, because I'm at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of our social media and YouTube type presence, but we're climbing incrementally every week. Mm-hmm. But Candace, I mean, she's got 2 million subscribers, I think. Yeah. Maybe it's 1 million, I don't know, but her videos get millions of views, and I just don't see them. She has dropped off of my feed. And so that makes me wonder if maybe she's not really onto something and she's being throttled. I don't know. One of the things, or what? Or
the opposite. She is onto something and she's being throttled.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the same. We're in agreement. But yes, she is a little out there, and I do have skepticism over some of the things that she claims. I mean, Emmanuel Macron is a dude. I don't know.
Every time I see, what's her name? Is her name Bridget? I think her name is Bridget.
Yeah.
Now, like, more and more, I'm like zooming in, like.
Yeah, Bridget. I said, Emmanuel Macron's a dude. Yeah, he's a dude. It's Bridget Macron that Candace is accusing of being a transvestite.
Yeah, I look. I'm like,
you look at her, you're saying, well, maybe,
yeah.
But it would be easy enough to prove. Hey, Bridget, we've got a nurse here. Let's just give us 5 seconds and let's evaluate whether you're a man or a woman.
Yep, I agree. It is interesting. But
I'll tell you that what she has done, she's come out really strong against Netanyahu and Israel.
Yeah,
I have a suspicion if there's anything, that's it. And she's not the first person to say that they have the belief or information that President Trump himself is really fearful of Netanyahu and Massoud. And, I'd never given it a minute's thought. I really took the narrative that Jews have been persecuted. We saved them from Hitler's annihilation and genocide quite rightly. I mean, they're human beings. Right. They're brilliant as a class. They're patriotic. They love our country. Mm-hmm. But I think the population is 3%. They control 30% of the of the 1% wealth, and they control 85% of the media. And I have, just in the last month, I have developed a very different view of Israel. And I think they're ruthless. I think they're savage when they need to be. They had the sympathies largely on their side. And then the more aggressive they became in Gaza, to the point where they were really committing genocide against the Palestinians, who were not really the bad guys. Hamas is the bad guys, but the Palestinians have an obligation, I think, to get rid of the bad guys as a controlling government for them. Yeah. And, oh my gosh, I mean, we're just going down a deep rabbit hole now, but you look at, we signed a peace accord, and the next thing you see is Hamas executing Palestinians in the town square who they believe to be infidels. I mean, there just are no white hats in this whole thing. They've both been victims of decades of years, maybe centuries of persecution and mistreatment. And so, if you beat your dog every day, you're going to end up with a really mean dog. And I think that's what we've got. We've got Jews that have been persecuted and have been denied and discriminated against. And now we've got Palestinians that are in a similar situation, and they hate everybody. And now they're just hating on each other, and they both want to kill each other. And I don't know how you bring peace to a situation like that.
I was just about to ask you, do you think that the Trump peace accord between Israel and Hamas, do you think that's going to hold up? Although there's been a breakage, in the ceasefire agreement these last few days, but do you think over the longevity of it all, do you think that they're going to come to a resolution and say, okay, you know what, enough is enough. Let's try this two-state solution deal. Do you think that's going to come to fruition, or do you think there's going to be more of the same?
I just don't know, Randy. I think it's going to be really hard to get it across the line. The American people had started to turn, the world had started to turn not against Israel, but they were sympathetic to the Palestinians. You saw demonstrations at Harvard and Columbia and Michigan, other college campuses with these pro-Palestinian sympathizers. I interviewed some of them in Milwaukee at the RNC. They carved out an area of a park that they dedicated for protesters, and I went and interviewed them. And I can tell you, the people that were sympathetic to Palestine were off their rockers. They denied the massacre that occurred on October the 7th. at that pop festival in Israel. They just denied that it even happened. And I said, well, you may as well just be telling me that today is not Monday, because it is. And you're not going to convince me it's not Monday any more than you're going to convince me that several hundred people didn't die at that pop festival. And plus, you kidnapped 250 people and put them in tunnels inside of Gaza and are holding them as hostage. But, we were never told, I don't think, if we were, and I try and stay on top of this stuff pretty good, we were never told that Israel had 2,000 Hamas Palestinian hostages. And I don't think they treated them a lot better than Hamas did. So I'm trying to sort it out and figure out. I wish we had John Lennon back on this earth, and we could all just live as one. I mean, that song, Imagine, those are some of the most beautiful words that have ever been written. Yeah. And I don't know how we get there, but I think, the Bible tells us in very simple terms, at some point, we got to all turn the other cheek. And as you just said a minute ago, enough is enough. Mm-hmm. Let's figure out how to peacefully coexist on this earth. Yeah. And it's in everybody's best interest.
Yeah, I agree. It totally is. A lot of people that are proponents of war never been to war. You kind of learn that after you did over 20 years in the military, and you hear people talk about we should just go in and bomb them and everything else. It's like, yeah, but you don't understand the second and third order effects of that. It's great to want to eliminate your enemy off the battlefield, and I get that, but to just conjure up a reason to go attack someone and to perpetuate an ensuing war, it's more than what it is, and so I tell people, I'm like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go to war.
Yeah, I'm really not much of a historian, but if you go back since the beginning of our country, let's just start there. Yeah. There are not many wars that we fought that you can say were really worth fighting. Certainly the Revolutionary War, that was worth fighting, because we were able to establish America and gain the freedoms that we enjoy. And, we had a lot of wars leading up to and after the Civil War that I'm really not sure I can make a case on either side for. The Civil War was worth fighting. Slavery is inherently wrong. Mm-hmm. And that was worth fighting to free the slaves. Then you go up to World War I. I'm not sure. World War II, that was legit. That was certainly legit to hold Hitler at bay. But then we had a series of wars: the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War. What did we gain through any of those?
Grenada.
So Grenada. You say Grenada. I say Grenada.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like you look back at it and you're like, what was the point of that? And there could have been either a diplomatic solution or no solution at all, and just left it alone and let time run its course on it. And that I see that with a lot of things, a lot of conflicts. Like even with this Russia-Ukraine deal, it's kind of like, why are we expending all these resources into this conflict? Number one, it has nothing to do with the United States. you got 40 countries surrounding the two of them that could easily take care of that situation if they wanted to, if they cared. They're like where I think, they're like, I don't give a damn. It has nothing to do with me. And that's why I'm at. I'm like, I don't.
Well,
people say, what about Russia and Ukraine, Randy? Don't you care? I'm like, not really. I spent my last 3 years in NATO. Actually, one of my last projects in NATO was planning in the event that Russia and Ukraine went to war. So it was kind of like ironic that it happened a year later. But I look at it, I'm like being over there and understanding the geographical landscape, understanding the geopolitics of the region. You just don't find Europeans truly really caring, especially at the diplomatic level. They just don't care about that conflict. They don't care about Russia and what they do. They just don't care. They just like, there's no difference.
Well, they don't want Russia to take over Ukraine, do they?
they don't care. That's the thing. It's like
I don't want Russia to take over Ukraine because Poland will be next, and then we'll be back into a World War III over Russia trying to take over NATO and Europe. I don't know. I am conflicted on that. Of all the skirmishes, I probably, no disrespect intended, but probably have a view on that than you do. It has evolved. I started out thinking, what are we doing over there? You got this guy that dresses up in a military outfit, and we've spent billions, and I think a lot of it has ended up in his pocket. I'm not down with that, but I hope Trump and Pete Hegseth have righted that ship. But I do feel like stopping Russia's aggression against Europe is probably a worthy operation. I sure as hell don't trust Vladimir Putin. Yeah, Randy, I hate to do it to you, but that dang Father Time has caught up with me, and I got somebody sitting in the green room for our next interview.
Okay.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I wish we had more time, and I hope you'll have me back.
Absolutely. Tell everybody where to follow you and support you real quick.
Yeah, you can go to johngordon.tv, see all of our past episodes there, and you can watch us live every Saturday and Sunday from noon to 2 on YouTube Live, Rumble Live, Getter Live, X, Facebook Live, and TikTok. And write to me, johngordontruth@gmail.com, and tell me you think I'm full of baloney, and we'll have a spirited conversation. But keep it respectful. I'll be respectful back. But I get really positive email. I love to hear from our listeners.
Awesome. Hey, John, we'll get you out of here. Thank you again. I appreciate you, and I'll see you soon.
You too, Randy. All right. And once again, thank you for everything that you do and continue to do and have done on behalf of our country. I'm genuinely am grateful for your service to our country. Thank you. Keep doing it. Keep it up.
Absolutely. Will do. God bless, sir. Be safe. Ladies and gentlemen, John Gordon, hey, great discussion. Loved it. And we did go a little longer than we planned, but it's okay. You saw what we were talking about. We was getting into the weeds of some things here, and that's what this show is all about: is peeling back the onion on a lot of things that you think you can just deal with it at the surface level and keep it moving, but no, there's a lot of complexities to things that's going on, not only on our home front but around the world that we're involved in. And it gets very complicated to just say, well, walk away. Yeah, there's second and third order effects to that. You can say, okay, let's get involved. There's second and third order effects to that as well. So it's just really, I'm a proponent of if it's not necessarily affecting the United States, do we really need to get involved? You got 218 countries in the world. Let them take the helm on some of that. We don't have to be the first and foremost premier country to be involved in every single thing on this damn planet. And people tend to forget the United States is not that old. We're coming up on 200 and our 250th anniversary as a country is next year. But prior to the establishment of the United States, we were around, 30, 40, 50 years prior to that, type of thing. So we've been around for a minute, yes, but we nonetheless are still one of the younger countries, especially compared to Europe and their governance, of any country over there for that matter. So I just see that we don't necessarily have to stick our nose into every single thing, every single time something happens. It's just not necessary. But here we are. It is what it is. But I just feel as though that we could go about things a little differently, and it won't cost us as much money. Number one. Number two, it won't cost us the resources, the other resources, collateral and logistical, and the human factor. So I mean, it's just I'm just waiting for the sky to open up one day. Just say, what, enough of this shit, and end it all. That's what I'm waiting on. I hope I'm around to see that. So, but folks, it is Friday. It is this is the day that I jump up out of here early and get my day going. But I truly appreciate John's thoughts and commentary today. he brought up some very interesting points that I personally did not consider, but now that he planted that seed, now I have to consider it. But nonetheless, folks, y'all be safe out there. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll catch you all next week sometime. God bless. Ciao, ciao. I hope you enjoyed today's program. You can follow, like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Substack, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and your news. And also, you can download Let the Truth Be Told app on your favorite streaming platforms, such as Fire Stick, Apple TV, and Roku. Take care. God bless.